performance, troubleshooting, emissions, new technology, and more. If you have a maintenance problem, we have a solution. Call us now at 888-8-ROAD-DOG.
Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. It is the Power Hour. We're going to get to your calls here in just a minute. Bruce, did you have something?
Yeah, 2 items. Ethan had several electrical things he wanted to talk about, but back to the emission engines. If you have a 2008, 2009, and even some 2010s had that SDP Caterpillar, the first year for the DPF, there is no cure for that engine. Do not buy them. They're out there. They're cheap. You cannot fix it. You cannot. There's not a legal fix for it. And also, the very first year for the DPF on the ISXs, 2008, 9, and 10, they're pretty tough too. So you're better off to try to go 2012 and newer on the ISX. And after 2007, don't even consider the Caterpillar, because that's the engine that put them out of the business. And a good friend of mine in Ogden, Utah, does excavating, has ranch, has trucks. On his one Caterpillar, 6NZ Cat, the fan kept staying on, and 3 different shops in northern Utah couldn't fix it. So he said, well, I'm taking it to Pittsburgh, and they kind of laughed at him and said, why would you take it all that way? He said, because it's cost me 1,000 gallons of fuel keeping that fan on, and you guys have been unsuccessful. And as soon as it pulled in, Ethan checked one thing and found the problem instantly. And I'm going to turn it over to Ethan on that.
Got it. Ethan, go ahead.
I've seen this actually twice in 2 weeks. Different sensors, but the same type of failure. The sensors are failing in range, but they're failed. So in this case, it was the intake air temperature sensor stuck at 171 degrees. Caterpillar, if I remember right, turns the fan on between 160 and 165 for intake air temp, which is why the fan was stuck on. Last week it was the coolant temp sensor on one. It failed at like 228, stuck the fan on. So some of these is the sensors failing in range. The only way to find them is to have the truck and know the ambient conditions, and then look through the laptop and see if the sensors are actually giving you a good reading.
Got it. All right.
So this truck sat in the parking lot all night long. We pulled into the shop this morning, so it ran for about 10 minutes, and it was showing 175 degrees intake air temp whenever it's 40 degrees outside.
Huh. Okay.
So, that's it.
Got it. All right. Let's get to some phone calls. We're going to start off in New Mexico today. David, welcome to the program.
How y'all doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I got some questions for Bruce there. I was in their shop well, matter of fact, the day before Thanksgiving, I had a Coronado with a 500 Detroit on it, and of course I got the power box. I put the turbo on it, and I put the new manifold on it, and the Pittsburgh Power muffler, and I'm still not getting no fuel mileage out of this truck, and can't figure it out.
Well, do you have a KR scan gauge or a working boost gauge? And you have the boost gauge on the firebox.
Yeah, I have the boost gauge.
And on the level, at your chosen speed, how low can you keep it?
I run about 68 mile an hour most of the time, and it runs anywhere between 10 and 23, 24, up and down.
Yeah, but on areas where you think it's really pretty level, is it staying around 10?
Yeah, it'll stay around 10 on level ground. It depends on how hard the wind's blowing, but
yeah. And so are you doing about 6 miles to the gallon?
No, I ain't doing about 5 miles to the gallon, maybe 5.3 on a good day.
5.3.
Wow. And your engineer there, he advanced the timing on it when we was talking about it after they put it on the dyno. he advanced the timing on it, and it didn't help a bit.
This is the Harrison glider, correct? Built by Harrison?
Yeah.
And it has the factory Detroit engine in. And we've seen this a few times with their engines.
Wait, Bruce, I know of 2 cases where it was proven finally that the engine was built with the wrong parts, and Detroit actually replaced 2 engines. So they admitted that there was a problem with some of those engines being built improperly, and this was the sign. No matter what we did to those trucks, we could not get fuel economy out of them.
Yeah. And we have a couple of those, and they all seem to be the factory reman engine.
Now, have you done any oil analysis on this?
I have not.
You might want to do it just to verify. All those engines that were getting lousy fuel economy, we were also getting pretty lousy oil samples. We had fuel dilution, we had soot, we had wear metals. So it might give us a direction to go. And maybe this isn't one that's built completely wrong. Maybe there is some other problem, and that's what we'd want to try to rule out first.
But we talked about the camshafts, the different camshafts, and the cam that we want to put in these engines that have this problem. You have to change the camshaft, but you also have to change the Jake brake. And that's the problem, because now you spend a lot of money. The camshafts are not very expensive, and you also have to change the injectors. The injectors and the cam and the Jake brake have to go together, and that's the unfortunate part.
Oh no, this truck, it runs like a cream. It don't, it pulls good and it just runs good, but the fuel mileage is just horrible on it.
Yeah. 358 rears?
Yep, 13 speed with 358.
Yep. Low rolling resistance tires?
What's that?
Are the tires low rolling resistance?
Pretty much. It's got the Michelin's on it. I don't know.
Which Michelin's on the drive?
Yeah.
Which model of Michelin on the drive?
I'll tell you the truth, I don't know what the model is. It's the ones that come factory on the truck.
Yeah, usually those were the XDNs on most of the gliders, and they're not that great. I mean, we could pick up 3 or 4 tenths by going to a real low rolling resistant tire, but you'd still be in the 5s, and that should be a 7 mile per gallon truck the way you're running it.
Right.
I mean,
are you driving with your foot on the rolling hills? I think we talked about that in the dyno room, and you said yes.
Yes, I do. When I get, I don't pull very heavy either. That's one of the big concerns is my average load is 20,000 pounds.
Yeah, and that's why I say this should be a 7 mile per gallon truck. Something's wrong. I would work through, as many issues as possible, and hope we find something that isn't pointing to the fact that this was one of those that was just built wrong.
We have been. That's the problem.
That's what I thought. We're running out of ideas, I believe.
He's fortunately he doesn't give up, and neither do we. So that's why we started talking about let's try changing the camshaft and going to the D-Deck 3 cam and injectors in the D-Deck 4. But then it's the Jake brake deal, and the D-Deck 3 Jake brakes. The slave piston in the housing that rides up on top the injector rocker arm are wearing oblong because it's a steel piston and a cast iron bore, and then the Jake loses its strength. So the next move is to take the Jake housings to a machine shop, see if there's room to machine it out and put a steel sleeve in along with a new piston. But that's not the cure right now.
Right.
That's the thought process, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get to another call. Let's head off to Ontario. Tim, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
I just sent you an oil sample there. I was wondering if could have a look at for me.
All right, let's take a look. It's a little different than what I'm normally used to looking at. So let's see. So we've got an 03 with what engine is this? Series 60.
Yeah.
Okay, with 18,000 miles on the oil. How many miles were on the engine at the time?
1.2 million miles.
Okay, and that's with no in frame, right? That's original.
We've had the top end done because I had the injector cups. I had one of them disintegrate on me. So they did the top end, they did the head, they did new injectors and everything here about a year and a half ago.
Okay. Now, am I reading this right? I see a note here that you've switched to a 1030 synthetic blend. Was that the oil you sampled here? It was a 1030?
No, the oil sample there is 1540 Castrol.
Okay. So I was going to say it's a little... Viscosity is actually pretty high. It's over 16. Did it have any Lucas in it?
Yes, it had a
Okay. Okay, that makes sense then. Now, how long have you had the 30 weight in there?
Just put it in now just for the... we had it scheduled in for a service, and they actually, before we even got that sample back, we already did the turbo and the air filters and everything at the service. And it's a different job that I'm using now, so they use a different oil, and he told me to try this oil.
You know, I'm all for lighter oils. We talk about them all the time. I think on a engine with 1.2 million miles in 03, you may see significant oil consumption with that 30 weight.
That's what we're kind of checking. Like so far, it hasn't gone down anything. I've had it now for 701. I've only got about 3,900 kilometers on it, which would be a little over 2,000 miles.
Okay. I'm not seeing, you know, I kind of agree with their analysis. So it was a little higher than normal. Not out of range for an engine with 1.2 million miles on it, though. And you've replaced some things that are probably going to fix that. Honestly, it wasn't that bad of a sample, and what the few things that were in there, I think the work that you've done is going to take care of it.
That's awesome to hear. I was going by what he said, but I didn't know if that soot level was way too high or not.
It was high, but again, with an engine with that many miles, there were some issues. You've addressed it with the top end and the turbo. I think the next sample is going to look fine.
That'll be great. I'll try and give you a call when I get the next one.
All right. I'll look forward to it. Thanks for the call. Let's head off to a break. We'll come back right after this and get to more of your calls and questions. This Road Dog Trucking weather update is brought to you by Rail. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Stick around.